Welcome back everyone. This is part 10 on What If Kid Asta Meets Noelle's Mother. I don't own Black Clover or any of the characters in this video. Chapter 16. Acid Magic Mana Zone. Double Acidic Requiem / Evanora declared as she leapt at the Witch Queen. Even with Bloodlust Frenzy still in effect, she could not react in time to evade the X/ to her chest. So fast, the Witch Queen thought, in shock as she not only felt her Bloodlust Frenzy spell dissipate, but she also coughed up blood before falling off the blood like ropes. Evanora leapt off of them as they disappeared and flew down towards the ground. The Witch Queen landed on the ground on her back, making a crater. Evanora landed on top of her and pointed her sword staff and sword of decay at the Witch Queen's throat in a scissor formation. Yield, Evanora demanded. The Witch Queen looked up at Evanora in defiance, but didn't reply right away. Eventually, she muttered something. It shouldn't be possible. The Witch Queen muttered angrily. It's true. Evanora snarled. Whoa. Evanora turned slightly to see Asta, Noelle, Nebra, Dominate, Lily, Valeria, Alice, and Captain Fana. She also took notice that Asta, Nebra, and Captain Fana were carrying Anna, Ladros, Elf Fana respectively. That was amazing. Anna grinned at Evanora. Despite being binded up at the moment, I would say congratulations, but Dominate began, but trailed off. Evanora took notice and chuckled. Dominate, relax. Evanora told her brethren as she stepped off of the battered and defeated Witch Queen. However, blood recover magic, blood reservoir, they heard the Witch Queen say, surprising them all. She can heal too? Asta gaped in surprise. Apparently she can. Noelle deadpanned. The Witch Queen slowly sat up and looked at Asta and Noelle, followed by the others that were not meant to be here due to the future she saw. You too. The Witch Queen began as she pointed a shaky right index finger at Asta and Noelle. You two were supposed to be on the worst magic knight squad of the Clover Kingdom, the Black Bulls. She then pointed at Captain Fana and the being carried elf Fana. And Captain Fana was supposed to be your vessel, elf. Asta scratched the back of his head in confusion. What's she mean? Don't worry about it, boy, Evanora told him. This future was never meant to happen. The Witch Queen shrieked hysterically. The Diamond refugees remained the same, but still, a 10th Magic Knight squad? She then turned her attention to Nebra. Why don't you hate your sister? Oh yeah, that's right. Your mother is still alive. That minor change changed everything. She clenched her hands into fists filled with anger. Damn it all. If Asier Silva was dead, then I'd have Vanessa and Asta in the palm of my hands. Asta, Noelle and Nebra felt the skin on the back of their necks crawl. Evanora just grit her teeth and slammed her foot down on her mother's chest, thus making her fall back onto the ground. Shut up, mother, Evanora snarled. That future you saw is long since dead. The future is never set in stone. Accept it. As for your future, you'll be trapped within the same cage that you kept Vanessa in. Consider it payback and karma for you. Oh, and I'll be needing a vial of your blood magic. The Witch Queen muttered angrily, mostly to herself, about how humiliating it was to lose to her own daughter. No one paid her any mind though as Fana spoke up. Sorry to interrupt Evanora, Fana began, but we need the magic stone that the Witch Queen is wearing like an earring. Oh, you mean this? Evanora asked as she knelt down and took the magic stone out of her mother's ear, then tossed it to Fana, who caught it. Take it. I have no need for it. In fact, its full power can only be utilized by a member of the elf tribe that lived in what is now known as the Forsaken Realm, Evanora continued to explain. That is why the terrorist group known as the Eye of the Midnight Sun is after them. Hence why they came here to the Witch's Forest. She glanced at the paralyzed elf Fana. I see that the Eye of Midnight Sun also went into the Diamond Kingdom, rested Morris, and took a vial from his office that contained your blood to create a clone body for your elf counterpart, Captain Fana. Asta felt his head begin to overheat with so much new information. Luckily, Nebra and Courtney, as well as Valeria and Dominant, were writing it down. Too much information. Asta cried out before anime falling, but he quickly got up and glanced around before he took notice of Lily. Oh, Sister Lily, you're a magic knight now? Lily glanced over at Asta and nodded with a smile. Yup, she replied. You can thank Sister Teresa's grandniece for this new job of mine. Grandniece, Asta repeated before he snapped his fingers. Oh, freed, right? Lily nodded in confirmation. That's right. Lily smiled. They turned their attention to Evanora. Not to interrupt this little reunion, but I'd like my friends back, especially if you consider that I gave you Clover Mages the magic stone, for free, I might add. Noelle glanced at Nibra, who glanced back before sighing and releasing Anna and Ladros from her mist-binding magic. Miss Spider Thread spell, thank you. Evanora spoke as Anna, and soon Ladros stood up. Now then, Evanora turned her attention to her defeated mother. That blood recovery spell is the reason you've been alive for so long, thus gaining the title of immortality by many. But now, she knelt down on the Witch Queen's stomach with her right knee, making the Pinkette woman wince in pain. Her witch hat had flown off after she fell from the blood like wires and into the ground. You are no longer the Witch Queen of the Witch's Forest. At this, Asta, Noelle, Nibra, Courtney, Fana, Dominant, Valeria, Alice, and Lily to gape in shock while Anna and Ladros had satisfied grins on their faces. I am. She stood up and turned to the remaining diamond forces in the air, as well as Ladros and Anna. Anna, you and the other men stay here. I'll be back. Diamond Kingdom shall expand for the better. Anna and Ladros saluted, as did the other Diamond Mage forces that were still alive. Asta glanced over at his squadmates and allies. Should we stop her? Asta whispered. No, Captain Fana remarked. While Evanora is drained of mana, so are we. Nibra glanced at the Amber Phoenix squad captain and scowled. Diamond Kingdom is our enemy as well. The firstborn girl of House Silva pointed out. Our mission was to obtain the magic stone here. Fana retorted coolly. And as the captain here, I take responsibility for all of us. If you perform a reckless action now, it'll go on my hands. Nibra clenched her hands into fists. You're just saying that because the Wicked Witch of the East was a mother figure to you and your boyfriend. Nibra shot back. I say we take them in as well. Nibra, Fana spoke in an authoritative tone. I will not allow any form of engagement with them. Am I clear? Nibra ched, then turned to face Courtney. Open up a portal please, she told her squadmate. Courtney nodded, then created a portal for the Silver Eagle and Amber Phoenix squad members to go through. After that, Courtney went through her portal. Thus it closed, once the Clover Mages and the Eye of the Midnight Sun Mages because their leader of the attack on the Witch's Forest was Elf Fana, who has been defeated by Captain Fana, and Alice Brosnan left. Evanora lifted the Witch Queen up and walked back to the Witch Queen's castle-like structure. Anna and Ladros followed her. Soon, the three shining generals were inside and Evanora threw the Witch Queen into the large cage-like structure at the far end of the throne room. What do you plan to do now, Evanora? Anna questioned. Evanora glanced to Anna and Ladros as she grabbed a vial from a table near the cage and placed it under the Witch Queen's chest wound, that still had blood trickling out, which had some of her magic's mana in it. Once the vial was full, Evanora capped it and locked up the cage. She then turned to face Anna and Ladros. Keep everything in line here, Evanora replied. I'll be combining Diamond Kingdom with the Witch's Forest. This way, I don't have to go back and forth between castles. Oh ho, Ladros grinned. So you plan to overthrow the Diamond King too? Evanora shrugged. Why not? He's old. This will get him out of his misery, Evanora retorted. Besides, both the Diamond Kingdom and the Witch's Forest need to be rebuilt. Moreso in their structure and rules, Evanora replied as she began to exit the castle of the Witch Queen. Anna, you stay here with your men. Ladros, you and your men come with me. Ladros saluted. Yes ma'am. Ladros grinned. A sound plan indeed, Anna agreed. Plus gives me the chance to recover my mana. Evanora nodded. Adina as she and Ladros left the Witch's Forest with their respective forces that survived the battle. The magic stone, sir. Captain Fana placed the magic stone obtained from the Witch's Forest on Julius's desk. Well done. Julius smiled. Expect your squad to get a few stars as a reward. Of course. Fana nodded before she frowned. I don't know if you got the Silver Eagle's members report yet, but the Witch Queen said that this future was not meant to be. That is concerning. Marx frowned deeply. Julius put a hand to chin and nodded in agreement. It is, he spoke. There's more, Fana continued. The more good news is that I and Alice managed to capture my elf counterpart. She's outside your office waiting to be allowed in. She could be the piece necessary to get the final pieces of the puzzle. Captain Assier needs to ensure the overthrowing of House Kira as the ruling House of Clover is a success. She then frowned. Sadly, the Witch's Forest is now Diamond Kingdom territory due to Evanora Chandler Womolt defeating the Witch Queen in combat. She clutched sides. I wasn't sure what to do at that point, but I used my instincts which told me not to engage with Evanora. Fana trailed off, but Julius understood what Fana was saying. She was a mother figure to you and Mars, Julius concluded, to which Fana nodded. Well, I'd rather you and the clover mages that went with your squad members survive than continue to fight when it was not necessary. It is true that the witch's forest gives Diamond a massive advantage, but if what you and Mars have told me of Evanora, I do not see her fighting us for a long time. He paused, then he continued by saying, you may allow Elf Fana inside my office now. Fana nodded and quickly went to the door and opened it, thus allowing her elf counterpart inside. Once inside, the doors closed. Elf Fana looked around, then took notice of Julius and Marx. She then frowned deeply. So this is some sort of interrogation? Elf Fana questioned. Something like that. Julius chuckled. Marx, if you would. Of course, sir. Marx replied as he approached Elf Fana with an open grimoire. With my magic, I'll be able to look at your memories. If what Captain Fana believes to be true, that you hold the last pieces necessary to get House Kier out of the ruling position, then Captain Asir will be happy. I'm just surprised that my human counterpart went through such lengths to save me, Elf Fana replied, before she felt some stray tears fall down her cheeks, which she wiped away with her right arm. Because she set me free from the third eye, I no longer bear such hatred for humans as I did a few days ago. She glanced over at her human counterpart, then back at Marx and Julius, as Marx continued his work. But despite that, I don't think I deserve a second chance. Fana gaped at her elf counterpart's words. While it is true that you've killed a lot of people in this life out of sheer hatred for the human race, Julius began, before his expression became serious. Everyone deserves a second chance. Elf Fana opened her mouth, but closed it. She was too shocked at Julius's words to say anything. That's right. Fana smiled lightly. I got my second chance after I defected from Diamond with Mars. So why shouldn't you? You. Elf Fana teared up. How can you be so forgiving? Because holding a grudge is not worth it, Fana replied. And done. Marx spoke in finality as Elf Fana's memories appeared before the four. It showed from 500 years ago, and her most recent memories. The four watched them replay over and over. Wait, pause. Fana spoke up. Marx paused them so Fana could point at something. What is that? She was pointing to a black blob that was next to Licht, leader of the elf tribe, as the entire elf tribe members, as well as the location itself, was burning from the flames of the recent attack from the humans on said village. While the blob was not facing them, they could recognize it as an otherworldly creature. Luckily for the other three, Elf Fana's eyes widened in utmost horror. No, Elf Fana shrieked as she fell to her knees. I sensed that being before, but I couldn't place what it was. She slammed her now clenched hands onto the floor. She then let out an agonizing scream of anger and sadness. Captain Asir was right. If we killed you guys, we'd be no better than the humans that killed us all those years ago. Hey, Elf Fana looked up at Captain Fana. It's okay now, all right? Wizard King Julius said he'll give you a second chance, so she smiled lightly. Why not join my squad? The Amber Phoenix. Amber Phoenix? Elf Fana repeated before her eyes widened. Not out of terror, but surprise. The phoenix symbolizes rebirth. Yes, of course. To give one a second chance. Elf Fana stood up and turned to face Captain Fana, and she held her right hand out. If you'll have me, I'll join your magic knight squad. I want to become a better elf, not to use my magic for violence out of cold blood, but to help and protect others. Julius smiled in satisfaction as the projections of Elf Fana's memories vanished from view, and Captain Fana accepted her elf counterpart's handshake. Welcome aboard then. Captain Fana grinned. We have spare robes back at the base. Great. Elf Fana smiled. I can even teach you and the other magic knight squads the elves' technique. Ultimate magic. That'd be amazing. Thank you. Captain Fana smiled as the two Fanas left Julius's office. Julius had a smile on his face as Mark stood beside him. You've made some very good decisions as a captain, Fana. Julius thought to himself. But oh boy, ultimate magic. Julius's eyes became starry-eyed. I can't wait to see it in action. Marx just sighed at Julius's antics. Never change, sir, Marx murmured. The report mother, Noelle, Nibra, Courtney and Asta stood inside Captain Asir Silva's office as Nibra handed the report from the mission to the witch's forest. The witch queen said some pretty stuff, Asta mused. Like how this future wasn't meant to happen. Blah blah ouch. Asta rubbed his arm that Noelle punched, a deep scowl on her face before she turned to face her mother. The witch queen went into detail on how the future should have happened. Noelle spoke up. She felt her eyes tear up and her hands, clenched into fists. She said, that you weren't supposed to be alive. That me and Asta were supposed to be on the Black Bulls. Aesir's expression became filled with disgust. By the Witch Queen's words. By the Witch Queen's words. Or in this case I'm ticked, I'll use her real name. Theodora. Anatika. Her words imply that I should have died 15 or so years ago. Aesir frowned deeply. Everyone else in the office gaped at the reveal of the Witch Queen's real name. Wait, what? Asta gaped in utter shock. That's her real name? Apparently. Courtney sweat dropped. The Witch Queen's real name aside. Nebra spoke up. I believe Captain Fana should be done with her meeting with the Wizard King soon. That's right. Aesir nodded. Which means if Julius and Marx found what they needed from Captain Fana's elf counterpart, then the plan to overthrow House Kira as the ruling royal house of Clover can begin. And I already know who will be coming with me, too. Who? Asta questioned. I have an idea on who, Noelle remarked. Soon, Aesir's communication device blipped. That must be Julius. Aesir spoke as she waved Asta, Nebra, Noelle, and Courtney out. Now, please. The four did so without complaint and closed the door behind them. Once they were gone, Aesir answered it. Both Marx and Julius's faces appeared. Julius, Marx, Aesir greeted the two. I take it the meeting with Captain Fana after the mission to the Witch's Forest was a success? In terms of obtaining the magic stone, yes, Marx replied. In terms of protecting the Witch's Forest, no go. I know, Aesir remarked solemnly. The Witch's Forest has fallen into Diamond Kingdom hands, which puts them closer to the Clover Kingdom. While that is concerning, the Eye of the Midnight Sun is the bigger threat at large. Julius spoke up. It is. Aesir agreed before frowning. Because that's the case, it makes me wonder if I should go through with my plan to overthrow House Kira. I say continue with your plan to overthrow House Kira, Julius added. Because of Captain Fana's elf counterpart having the memories of the massacre 500 years ago, we can confirm that the royals that did the attack were what become the House Kira we know today. Then we have everything we need, Aesir spoke. I will contact the others I plan to help with this. Marx and Julius nodded before they disconnected the communication. The Eye of the Midnight Sun HQ that was within a strong magic region. Patry punched one of the armrests of his throne in anger. Damn those humans, Patry growled. Veto and Ryan next to him. They'll pay. Oh, I agree licked. Veto grinned as he cracked his knuckles. I'll make that 10th Magic Knight squad feel complete and utter despair for what they did to our friend. Raya just yawned. Yawn licked. I think the best course of action would be for you to go to them. Raya remarked. Yes, you're right Raya, Patry agreed. However, you're coming with me. Sure. Raya replied lazily. Besides, Veto has to prepare for his own mission. Also, apparently House Silva plans to overthrow House Kira, which is in charge of the Clover Kingdom. Patry curled his lips into a dark smile. The humans are just proving me right. He laughed. They hate one another. They betray one another. It's downright disgusting. Captain Aesir Silva is nothing more than a hypocrite. She will be the last human to survive our grand plan so she can feel the same emotions we elves felt. His dark smile widened. And what better way to do that than to kill the entirety of the Amber Phoenix squad? He stood up from his throne and began to stride away. Raya, if you would. Jan of course licked. Raya spoke as he created a spatial portal and Patry walked through it. Raya was about to follow, but stopped and turned to face Veto. You're in charge until we get back. Veto grinned. Don't worry. I'll make sure the mages working for us and the ones going with me to the Seabed Temple are in good shape, Veto replied. Raya just nodded before going through his spatial portal, which closed behind him. End of chapter 16. Okay everybody, it's been a while since the last time I speak to you all. I have an announcement to make. They would be good news and bad news. The bad news first. The bad news is I have to end this series now. Why? You may ask. Because there are 56 chapters of this series. So far we are in chapter 16, and some chapters are really long. You can tell. For some of my videos of the series, I can do one chapter of a time, including this one. Now you know why I have to end this series now. And let's go to the good news. The good news is this is not the finale. I will come back to finish the rest of the story. Because I want to end this series now. Because I want to do other what if series as well. I will come back to this series in 2 or 3 what if series. Probably a one-shot as well. and my own original what if as well. That is all I have to announce. I hope you all understand why am I doing this. Because there are many what if series I want to upload in my channel. If you don't want to wait for part 11 of this series, link down to the comments if you want to read the rest of the story. I hope you all enjoy. Goodbye.